Okay, we are live. Okay. All right, everybody. My
So
name is Don
no
Costa.
talking about oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Don't talk about what? I knew you were going to do that to me. No, I'm just kidding. So we are live, everybody. My name is Don Costa here, your host. We're doing an impromptu um, podcast here of just having a conversation on a Friday. I'm gonna call these Friday on the fly. If I have an opportunity to do these on Friday, I will. And I have Zack Childress today with me. This is somebody that, like I mentioned in the description, I have gotten to know since October. We met in October, right? So, and gained a lot of respect for this gentleman. Definitely a giver, wealth of knowledge. Single dad, doing a lot of great things for the real estate community. Obviously, got the right value. Somebody you definitely want to pay attention to and follow. And just it's been really, really cool to talk to in the conversations I've had. So I figured, why not share some of these conversations with the Flip Talk audience? And you'll see his energy. He is definitely a practical joker, 100%. So Zack, how you doing today, buddy?
Man, Don, if I was any better, I'd have a head full of hair.
You and me both. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like. You know what? I realized that I look good with this haircut, and I don't need my hair anymore, so I'm okay.
No, I know. I just like to say it. I was in this whole fad going around Facebook, this little avatar, right?
Right.
Well, I didn't even know how they were doing it. And then the other day, somebody had made a comment, a little button popped up and said, "Create your avatar." So I'm on there and it's like, pick your hairstyle. And I'm like, hairstyle? like you've got 80 different hairstyles. I need this guy in the top left corner. So made it really easy for me. So no, man, I'm happy to be here, Don. I mean, I think that we've definitely shared some energy since we've met. And I think we have some of the same outlooks on stuff and values. And more importantly, I think I'm just excited to be here to share a message, whatever that message may be today, that might help inspire, lead, or push someone to take some action and get their business rocking and rolling. So
very cool. So you have you've been doing real estate investing yourself for quite a few years, but you've also been in the education space for quite a few years. So
17 years.
17 years.
Oh,
yeah, go
12 years educate. So 17 years as a full-time investor and 12 years of educating, from stages to books to podcasts to, man, we were doing Facebook Lives for, I'll put it this way, I think we had something like 6,000 hours of Facebook Live shows on our Facebook. Like we were just cranking it out. And yeah, man, I'm just out there. We also have products and stuff and, that helps people do what they do, but we're like you, man. Like we throw out a ton of free value, from YouTube to Facebook to free blueprints to downloads. You name it, man. I think it is in the spirit of giving, which is where you start to help people see, because here's my theory on the education side, right? Like I'm an investor first. Let's just call that what it is. I own apartments, I flip houses, I wholesale, I own commercial, I do private lending. Like that's my world. I also run the largest RIA in Northern Alabama. And so we're giving there constantly every month. But on the education side, I come over the last 12 years, I've come to learn that like everybody wants to learn something, right? And you just never know who that person is that you're going to connect with, right? Like I have people that probably follow me and they followed me for years, but then you came on a show and then they started following you and they might've said, look, I like Don's styles. I like better. And I think that's really what the whole, like, introducing new people to your people is all about. Right. And that's why we've done it for so many years is, look, if they want to learn from us, I'm blessed. But if they want to learn from you, I'm blessed too, because I introduced them to you. Right. And so there's always this ripple effect. And I think that's the one message that most people really need to take home as educators. You can't corral your herd and be like, oh, you can only learn from me. Well, there's a large portion of people that found you, not you in general, but I'm just speaking you, right? Found whoever and may not jive with them. They need to find somebody that they do jive with. You follow me? And I think that's important about like what you do with interviewing people, how we interview people. I think that's the gift of being an influencer, right? Is saying, hey, look, what is it you're seeking? I mean, and you and I both know there's people that are going to follow us for years and still never do anything. Right. But you just got to keep putting it out there, man. Like I had somebody come on board with us last week and I went and pulled them up in the database. That person opted into one of my free blueprints 5 years ago.
Wow.
5 years ago. It took him 5 years before he felt comfortable enough to actually get into education with us. But my point to that is just that, right? You just never know when someone is ready, and you've got to be there when they're ready.
Right. Agreed. And so, the gist of, kind of what I was going with that is you definitely have had the opportunity to help a lot of people. You've had the opportunity to experience some different things in the market. You've had some opportunity to see kind of what people go through in their growth in this business. So what are some of the biggest challenges you see? I know COVID-19 has been the talk for months.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily want to harp on that
Yeah,
on this conversation, but it does, it does kind of relate to some of the challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It affects us.
Yeah. So what are some of the challenges you see overall that have been kind of a consistent roadblock for investors over the past, 12 years or so? What's one of the biggest challenges, I guess, one of maybe top 3 challenges people run into in getting started and growing their business? Yeah.
I think one of the biggest challenges, it may not be what people want to hear, but I think one of the biggest challenges is what people are allowing it to do to their thinking process. Right. They see a crisis, they freak out, they move into fear mode, they let their subconscious take control, which is pull back, hide, be safe. And the subconscious makes them think safe is stopping. Mm-hmm. And stopping is not safe. It's the number one rule you learn in survival techniques. Like if you're stranded, you don't stop. You don't just sit and lay and wait and hope someone comes and gets you. You keep moving. You keep moving forward. You look for water sources. You look for food. I think that's the same way. And I don't want people to get, this is not a survival channel, but
but to a degree it is, right? Because when you're building business,
we're surviving a business, right? Like we have to keep moving forward. We have to keep looking how we're going to put food on the table. We have to keep looking at how we're going to find money because, it's a mental thing that happens to them. And I think that's the number one thing that a lot of people are either getting over by coming and like following you or following me or anybody out there, right? They're staying engaged. They're keeping educated. And they're moving forward where the other ones are pulling out. Number 2, a big one that is I'm starting to see the domino effect from it is the lending world, right? We held strong locally on our local lenders, and then out of the blue, they pulled the rug. No more rental loans. They yanked the rental loans completely. Commercial loans are almost obsolete in our area. The local banks are saying to us, and I'm very connected in my local market extremely. I mean, I run the largest RIA, and on top of that, I mean, I bank with like 5 banks. I work directly with the vice presidents of those banks, and I'm constantly on the phone with them. And I was like, why did you guys pull out? Like, you're a local bank, your portfolio and your loans, you're not selling to Wall Street. Like, why would you pull out? And the whole reason they stopped was because of that 3-month pause. They allowed so many landlords to come in and pause their loan payments for 3 months that they had all these non-performing notes. So they paused their loans for rental properties. And, and they're saying, hey, look, Zach, give us, 5 or 6 weeks and we'll have them back out, which I think that'll probably be more like 8 or 9 or 12 weeks. But we're starting to see that as a side effect. But like our flipping business, man, it has not slowed down one bit. Like it has not slowed down one bit. Our wholesaling game, it's taken a little bit of a slowdown. And I think that's because, there were so many new buyers in the market and they were just buying anything.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, we'll take it. I think a lot of those people, they got the mind thing wrong. And so they've pulled out. So we've seen a little bit of a decrease in the amount of time it takes us to sell or we've seen a little bit of an increase in the amount of time it takes us to sell a contract. But, I play in those 3 worlds, right? Cash flow type properties, flips, and then wholesaling. And cash flow properties were being affected because a lot of the lenders, like I just said, the flips, not seeing one bit. Not even seeing a bit of a hit in that. And then the wholesaler, side. We're just seeing our time frame a little longer on getting rid of a contract.
Yeah, we've seen a little bit of a dip in the wholesale side as well in our organization. One of the things that I've also noticed that you hadn't mentioned yet, but this is kind of a repeat of 2008, and it's something I'm noticing more and more in chatter in some of the groups I'm in, is credit card companies are reducing limits, and that's
totally happened in 08, man.
Yeah, that happened in 08.
Boom, they chopped us down overnight,
right.
Man.
Right.
God,
so
you brought up a sore pain for me on that.
But it's happening. Yeah, it's happening again, right? I don't know necessarily that I haven't heard that it's happening on the home equity line, right? Because they did the same thing with home equity lines back in 08.
Oh yeah. They killed it, man.
But I've seen some chatter on Facebook and actually and interacted with some people in our mastermind community in the Inner Circle Elite where they have, they had a fairly high limit. They had zero balance. And next thing the limit's like $500 or $700, right? They go from like, $30,000 limit to $500 limit. And so credit card companies are starting to do that more and more where they're chopping the limits. And that was when when we went into the COVID crisis situation, that was my biggest fear was not, whether or not COVID was worth fearing or not. I'm not going to get into that argument. How long it was going to last, any of that. It was my thing was, what are they going to do with lending? Because it doesn't matter what supply and demand is. If they start cutting off the availability of credit, it's going to hurt. And, and that's
and there's a big side effect, Don. I don't mean to cut you off, but I just want people that are watching to understand this. Like that one move by these credit card companies does more to the person than just limiting their borrowing capability. It jacks up their DTI, which then drops their credit score, which then as new credit lines or as Lindy's open up with new credit, guidelines, they're saying it's going to get all the way up to 700 now to qualify for a loan. Imagine that person that was hovering at 710 thinking, oh, I'm excited. And now their DTIs, cards are maxed out. DTI is just skyrocketed. Now they're sitting on a 670, Right. So I don't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to throw that out there. If people understood that.
No. Yeah. And I agree. And so that's still something that, that gives me some pause in moving forward. And I'm sure that adds to some anxiety for people as well. So I'm going to shift a little bit because you've shared something and stop me if this is something you want to talk about openly or not. Okay. No, just kidding. I really am harping on people when they are building a real estate business because I built a fairly sizable real estate business myself. We do quite a high volume of rehabs and wholesales on a regular basis. I spend a lot of money on marketing. Have a decent sized team, and one of the things that I have found, I didn't have a plan when I started. I just wanted to make money. Right. Like a lot of people get into this business and I built at times my organization became a prison, right? It handcuffed me. And that's some of the best growth I got was because of that. I got into moments that sucked, but I really harp on people to create a plan when they start or when they're early in their business as to what the end result is. And I want to see if you're willing to share kind of, I want to use the education portion of your business as the example, because you built a fairly sizable education organization. And then now you've got more of a situation that you're more happy with. Do you mind sharing kind of that story? Is that something you're willing to do openly here?
100%, man. I'm full transparency, but let me ask you a question. Why can't I share your live stream on your Flip Talk? I was going to share it to my boss page.
If you go to Flip Talk podcast with Don Costa, the page, you can actually share it.
If
you're in the Flip Talk, if you're in the group, you can't. Yeah.
I have to be in the group.
If you're on the page, you can share the page. If you're in the group, you can't.
Okay. Well, maybe you're talking too fast for me. Because I don't see a share button on this thing, man.
I will.
What am I doing wrong, man? What am I doing wrong?
Here, I'm gonna post.
I'm a first-time Facebook user.
I'm going to post here for anybody who's not part of it, has not liked the page, the Flip Talk podcast with Don Costa page. I'll share this with you, Zach, right here on the screen. You can see it, fliptalk.com/fliptalkrei. That is the page, the public page. You go there, you like that. You'll see these broadcasts on a regular basis. A lot of the roundtables we do will be from there. We also have a group called Flip Talk, Real Talk for Real Estate Investors. And that is a private group that there's no share there only because I'm going to start pumping some information that's going to be for that group only. And
gotcha.
So if you want to be part of that group, go ahead and and ask
All
for more
right.
of that group. So,
Well, look, I don't want to eat up too much of your time. I'll figure out all that in a little bit. I'll get
no
over
worries.
to my boss page. So to share with you a little bit about my education side, the rise and the fall is what I call it, right? Going from 8 figures to 7 figures was really because, look, I've always had this passion from day one when I sat in my very first seminar 17 years ago, and they started talking to me about real estate investing and the power of it. And not only did it excite me, it's hard to explain, but I almost had this like euphoric feeling. Like I was like, I'm going to be a good real estate investor, and I'm also going to be a great speaker. I'm going to teach this. Now that's odd, right? I'd never done public speaking before, knew nothing about real estate, but I was sitting in that seminar learning it. And there was something in that moment that made me realize like I almost could forward vision that I was going to be helping people too. Like that was a driving passion behind mine. I wanted to be a giver. I wanted to give back, but I knew I had to go figure it out myself first. And so it started then, and then I got going and I started just, I started doing the business, and then I started helping and I started teaching. And then I got picked up by people in the industry to help them coach their students. And so I was kind of the guy behind the scenes as a coach. And then I was just really successful at it. And so they had me write coaching programs for them. Well, the next thing I was doing it for like 9 different guys in the industry. And I knew what it was going to take to make people successful, Don, just like you got to be more involved with them. You got to have them in mastermind. Like there's all these things you got to do to help people really connect and plug in. Well, these companies didn't want to do that. They just didn't want to do it. They saw it as a dollar and not as a momentum and I guess a community is really what I'm big into. And so I separated. I went off on my own and I started doing it. Well, lo and behold, I mean, I'm a builder. I'm a serial entrepreneur. So, we don't want to do anything small. And it just built and built and built. And the next thing you know, we were all over the country. I mean, we were putting on 70, 80 seminars a year. I mean, we were going live 3-4 times a week. I mean, it was just burning me out, man. And what I realized is that the mission to help people got somehow twisted up in there, and it became a mission to help everybody, right? Instead of just, I want to help some people, then it became, I want to help everybody. And the only way to help everybody is I got to be all over the US, everywhere. I got to be everywhere. I got to be everywhere. And I think that was a little bit of an ego thing, man. Honestly, it was during a time that we didn't have as many educators out there that are out there right now. And, it was funny. You'd go somewhere and people's like, oh man, I see you everywhere. And you're like, yay. But you don't realize in that moment that I don't even know how to say it, honestly, Don. I mean, it's one of those things where you tell yourself that you're still doing what your goal is to help people. But the truth behind it is you're actually helping less when you're doing such a large scale because they're only getting a little bit of your time. I had actually turned in to the persons or the people that I was telling you need to be more involved. Right. I was like, look, stop being so big, be more involved, and you'll have more successful students. And so that epiphany hit me in 2018. And I was just sitting there on the back porch one night. And I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I was just like, I don't want to do it anymore. And another epiphany was I was putting a lot of time in traveling all over the US. And there was this 80-20 rule, right? I mean, I was still making 80% of my income off of real estate and 20% off the education side. People don't think that or understand that, but to run a large operation educational company, I mean, the margins are super small. I mean, you're not talking. I mean, you're down in some quarters, you're in single digit margins. I mean, it's a heavy load to run those things. And so, and I don't know, man, it just hit me. It hit me right in the face. And I was just like, I don't want to do it anymore. And so I had a longtime partner at that time. And I went to him and said, look, I don't want to do it anymore, man. And, I'm sure that hit him pretty hard because I was the face of the company. I mean, it was all my intellectual property. It was all my training, education. I mean, I was the teacher. And I mean, obviously it didn't slow him down. He's a great marketer. He went out and bounced right back, and he's doing phenomenal. But I just stopped, man. And really, I took that entire 2019 off from mid 18, all the way through until probably this year. I didn't do anything nationally, not one thing. I just pulled back, shut the seminar business completely down, and I just focused locally. I just focused on my community locally, and I watched what happened over a year. Like, I watched what we were doing in our local community with people over a year by going right back to my grassroots, what I loved, right? Which was being hands-on, being involved with them, teaching them, sharing them, showing them, directing them. And it just hit me in that moment. It was like, this is what I love to do.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I love to do. Like, I almost walked away from the information business because of all that other stuff. Right.
Right.
But it was still tearing at me to come back. And then it hit me like smack in the face when I saw what we had created in the local area. And I said, you know what? This is what I want to do. I want to create this exact same thing that we did locally, and I'll invite my national students into this type of community. And so that's when we built the Boss page and really got it going. And we built the National Association, and we're just doing the same thing, showing a lot of love, giving a lot of education, just like you, man. But just keeping it tight, keeping it close, right? And yeah, it's been fun now.
Yeah, and I wanted you to share that because that applies to any business, right? Whether it's real estate or you're building a widget or you're in information or any business, and we all get caught up in that wanting bigger, better, badder, right? Yeah. And sometimes, like you said, you're more intentional about what you're doing. You're able to see the fruits of the labor. You're probably doing better, financially, personally from it, and at the end, and then the overall reward is there. And that's the moral of the story I wanted people to take when they're listening to this is, for those of you building a real estate business, like if you're trying to scale right now and you're hitting wall after wall after wall, maybe you need to step back and look at the reasons why you're trying to scale. Maybe that's not right for you. Maybe you're trying to build this big, huge team and that's dragging you down from your core competency. I know originally I failed in 2008 because I was trying to be in 5 or 6 different businesses at once, and I wasn't focused on my core competency and the things I was good at. And so that's like, we see these highlight reels on the internet all the time, and this life we think we want. And a lot of times it takes less steps and less work to have the life we really, really want to have at the end of the day.
Don, you couldn't have said that any better, man, because golly, like that is, so I listened to this guy, Garrett White. I don't know if you know who Garrett White is, but he smacked me in the face. And that's what he talked about. He's like, we're too busy looking out the window, right, instead of looking in the mirror.
Right.
Right. Like, and that there's so much truth to that, right? Like, we're like, oh, look how nice their bushes are. Oh, look at what they're doing. Instead of looking in the mirror and saying, oh, look how great I really am as me. And I'm enough. And I am worth this. And I am good at what I do. And I'm wearing a nice shirt, like giving ourselves the compliments that we deserve versus looking out at our neighbors trying to say, look how great they are and we should be like them, right? Oh man, you hit it dead on the nail. And that is exactly what happened, because when you get into what I call the chase game, listen to me now, right? I'm about to preach it, man.
Man, your energy. I wish I had half your energy. But
listen, when you get into the chase game, right? Like for me in real estate, the chase game is, oh, who's coming into my market? I got to outmarket them. I got to outbeat them. I got to get the deals before they get them. I got to do this. That's the chase game, right?
Right.
Versus looking in the mirror and saying, well, what do I really need?
What do I really need? What do I really want? What's the life I really want?
Need? How many deals do I really need to do to be good? Right. Okay. Yeah. John came into the market, or Mike's in the market, or Wyatt's in the market, and they're kicking butt. But do I need to chase them, or do I need to be worried about me? Right. And I think that's going from the chase, looking out the window, to looking in the mirror, right? Same thing in the info business. That's what I did. when we started scaling and growing up, we were chasing the large seminar companies. We were chasing the companies that had $1 million budgets, and we were grinding, and it was like, why am I chasing this? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't need to chase that. That's not who I am or what I want out of this. And sorry, man, that took me back to 18 when I had that hit. Like he said, stop looking out the window and start looking in the mirror. Right.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's such truth. It's just sometimes we don't see it. You know what I mean? We just don't see it. It's natural. We're always taught that growing up. Think about, oh, look how their business is. Oh, look what they've done. Look, look, me and you are in, how many masterminds are we in together now? Heck, I don't even know.
I'm in a lot.
Every time I pop into one, there's your logo. So, but my point is we have to be careful in masterminds too. Right. You know what I mean? Because everybody's got something to share, and it's like looking out the window, right? And we got to be cautious, or at least I walk with more caution today than I did when I first was going, right? Because I'd look at all you guys and be like, oh, I'm going to do that. Oh, I'm going to do that. And then next thing you know, you're trying to do everything and you don't do nothing. So.
Yeah. So perfect. I'm glad, because that's exactly the reaction I wanted to get from you, was because I want that to hit home. A lot of us, excuse me, I gotta get a cough out here. So a lot of us that have achieved, different levels of success are looking back now going, well, now we want to take a step back, or now we need to reinvent our business to have that. Because everybody gets into this for the lifestyle dream, right? I mean, that's really, what people want. And a lot of them get into it for the wrong reasons. Because they want to not have to work at all. And I'm going to always say out loud that there's a practical reality. It takes some work to have the business you want, but at the same time, it's about understanding that balance between doing enough work to have the business you want and not doing so much that you have the one you don't. And that's true. Perfect. So,
I think that most people don't understand it sneaks up on you.
Yeah.
And that's the hidden venom in growing a business. And when you're good at it, right? Like when you're not good at it, you're just trying to figure out how to get it to make money. But when you really get good at it and you're successful with it, it's the venom, right? It's the snake in the weeds that you don't see coming. And then it hits you and you're like, what have I been doing the last 7 years? Like, okay, I got millions of dollars coming in. I own my house. I own my cars. Great, but this is not what I wanted. You know what I mean? And that's hard to say to somebody that is just trying to figure out how to quit their job. You know what I mean? Like, I'd love to have that. I'd love to have that. But it's almost like we're trying to, and not too many people are bold enough to ask that question that you just asked, by the way, because they're afraid to talk about the info space to their real estate followers. You know what I mean? Right. So I commend you on that. But it works hand in hand when you have the right person you're following and they're successful at what they do. They need to understand, like, it's the education that gets them there. But at the same time,
let me jump in. I know you had a thought there, but I want to stress here that the reason I brought that up was because, like you said, it goes hand in hand, and there's twofold to that. One is I wanted to hit that build the business you want to have, be purposeful about that. But also there's a lot of flack online right now about the info space and educators. And something I want to point out is, even on the education side, people are just building businesses too. And they take time away from their family, and they take time away, like you're traveling and everything else. I mean, there's got to be compensation in that for educating you. And at the end of the day, we're just businessmen and women fighting the same battle, trying to make a dent on the world, trying to change lives in a positive way, whether you're closing a seller or you're coaching somebody, and we're trying to build a good business. And so you're one of the people that I've gotten to know over time that comes from a good place. And that's why I wanted to share that story. So I just wanted to hammer in there.
No, I think it's great, man. I wish more people would talk about it openly, like you just did. I think if we did that, you'd real quickly weed out the people that are just in it for the money. You know what I mean? You'd weed them right out because they wouldn't want to talk about it, right? They don't have a passion for it. for example, like I still love coaching my own students. You know what I mean? Like I have coaching students right now that I still work with every other week. I get on the phone with them and we talk through it. We build plans, and I love it. Like I had a young couple, awesome couple, Melissa and Jordan, and they're in the sub 2 lease option space. And their whole thing is we're getting people on the phone, but we're not converting them. So we've spent a massive amount of time just on communication, converting, presentation, offers, and all that. I get on the phone with them yesterday and they're like, Zach, we just got 3 deals in 1 week. I was like, yes. You know, that is a passion, right, Don?
Right.
It's like, and that's what I'm saying to them. I'm like, I think I'm more excited than you guys are because you're like my children growing up. You're doing what I'm telling you to do, right?
Right.
But there again, you can only truly be that type of coach if you're not in the business to scale it to 8 figures. Do you understand what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah, because you can't scale that model to 8 figures if you're the one coaching your students. It's impossible. But it gives the person who's passionate about helping, passionate like you are with your mastermind, you know, it gives you the ability to take a small group of people, bring them into the room, and really share and educate them. Which I love the name of your boardroom there, Be in the Room or Mastermind. Isn't it called Be in the Room?
It's the Inner Circle Elite, but the website's beinthisroom.com.
I love that. The first time I ever saw that, I thought, "What a great name!"
So, that was at 2 a.m. I'm looking at the ceiling, going, "The room you want to be in is this room." And I was like, "Is that domain available?"
Right. I have this too. Look, I've bought so many domains I don't even use. It's crazy.
Right. So let's pivot one more time. So, for in the sake of somebody watching this, getting started in the business and that kind of thing, what are some of the avenues for marketing that you're passionate about right now? You're really seeing your students have success with.
Marketing wise, look, I'm a very simplistic guy when it comes to marketing, especially for new people. Because my goal has always been the same with anybody. And I get a lot of new people and I get some people that are just trying to figure out how to do more. But like with most of my new people, my first goal is just get them on the phone, man. Like you got to get on the phone. And so we don't even stress about paid marketing in the beginning. It's just getting them on the phone, getting them calling, getting them comfortable, getting them on scripts, getting them role playing. And then it's always amazing because when you really get them dialed in and get them making 30, 40 calls a week or more, they magically start finding deals. And I'm like, look, and you didn't even have to spend any money on marketing. But the goal is to get them comfortable with that, to get some, to find 1 or 2 deals and then take that money and dump it into marketing. And so we push them into direct mail. We do a lot of teaching on stacking lists, but I only work with them mostly. I don't do what most people call like mass mailing. I'm not a fan of that. I'm about like segment the market, find your cluster zones, and then pull a list in those cluster zones. And that way we can target the right areas at the right time. And then outside of that, we teach a theory, which is called shaking the tree, which is them understanding the power of their network, and the power of their network plus the power of an autoresponder connected together on a monthly basis. And so we teach them some of those simple processes. Now, as things grow, like I have a student right now, Wyatt. He's a fan of yours now too, because I interviewed you, and then he found you, and now he follows you.
He's a cool guy. Yeah, I had a phone call with him. He's a great guy.
Oh, dude's sharp, man. And so he was one of my coaching students, and the guy he accelerated, man. He just did everything we told him to do. Well, now we're taking him to a different level, right? Like he's gone now, he's doing direct mail, moving into Facebook and, creating retargeting and, and I'm just, I'm still giving him some gold nuggets on his ads and tweaking some things up. I mean, I think the guy's up to like 40 leads a week now, and he's a one-man show and he's like, man, I need somebody to call my leads. And so like those are like, it's so for me, it's hard to say like, what do you teach people in marketing? Because for me, it's really about where the person is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to take a brand new person and say, okay, now I'm going to teach you Facebook. They're gonna be like, well, I don't even know how to talk to somebody. You know what I mean? Right. So I think everybody's different. For me and my business, though, we're heavy on direct mail. We're heavy on Facebook, and our network is probably 40% of our leads from the banks, the management companies, agents, my RIA. I mean, but I'm different, man. I'm extremely plugged into my market. I mean, I write for the Business Journal as a real estate expert. I run the largest RIA here with over 1,300 members. I mean, but that all started 11 years ago, and I just plugged in and I stayed in, and you know what I mean? And it built over time.
I want to hammer on that right there. What you just said about it built over time, because I was working with a buddy of mine, Mike Cowper. We're putting together a course called Ready, Build, Scale for scaling your business, building a real business. Right. And I was writing an article about direct mail marketing or any marketing channel. And basically that was kind of the last paragraph, is it starts to stack on itself. And that's what people miss, is they think, well, I'm only getting a couple of leads from this, or I'm not really getting much from that, but it's that momentum that stacks over time. It's like, you didn't get to where you're at in 6 months. I didn't get to where I'm at in 6 months. I started my business the second time around in 2012 with not a dollar to my name, and I networked my butt off, and most of my deals for years came from networking. Yep. And it was though each time I added a relationship, just added more deals. And then same thing with the marketing channels. Each time I did a direct mail drop, it created more and more and more momentum. And then it created opportunities for follow-up, and that follow-up created opportunities for more deals. And it's that stacking that people miss, and it doesn't happen overnight.
And I think we have a generation that, and I don't mean this in a bad way, because I think the generation that's coming through now are going to be the ones that take care of me and you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they grow up in a different time. Everything's instant for them, right? I mean, phones and iPads and the internet is a whole different world now. And I feel really old talking like this, but it's all instant for them. And so I think when they get into a space like this or in a business, they're still looking for those instant rewards, right? And that's not business. I mean, look, sometimes you hit a home run right out the gate, but that's not normal. You know what I mean? Like, it's a grind process. It's a build. It's grow roots. It's keep plugging in, keep networking, keep getting the message out there, keep letting people know what you do. Like Wyatt, I mean, the guy's, he's not an educator. I mean, he's not a motivational speaker. He's not that. He's an investor that also does some coaching for us locally. But he throws videos out constantly talking about, like, look, guys, if you want to get out of where you are and you want to get here, you got to make some changes. The point is even though he's doing those videos, it's still putting his roots in. You know what I mean? Like, his videos are getting shared, and they're realizing, oh, why it's an investor, why it's an investor, why it's an investor. That has more of a ripple effect than most people even have a clue about, right? I mean, you got to keep getting that message out there. So
100% agreed, 1,000%. So perfect. Well, I think I'm out of questions. So I don't know if there's anything you want to have a conversation about while we're here.
Oh man, listen, I can talk for hours.
I know. We've yeah. What advice would you give somebody right now from your perspective, being in the game as long as you have, with everything going on with COVID-19? Would you go all in? Would you be super conservative? Like, how are you running your business right now in this day?
Well, look, I mean, pull the curtain back. I haven't stopped.
Right.
We're taking different measurements. We've tightened up our buying criteria, where, we were taking deals down that had $12,000 in it. I mean, just because we were running a machine, right? We're buying them, selling them, buying them, selling them. Well, not that our rehab business has slowed down, but I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going to happen with all of this. So we've tightened up our buying criteria. We've moved it to a minimum of 20,000 on a deal now. We're still looking for great rental properties and all of that. Now, as a backup, as a more of a, let me get myself in a position, it's not, and I want to be clear on this. What I've done, what I'm about to tell you, I did not do this based on, I'm afraid the market's going to crash, so I'm out. I did this because I know that if the market does correct itself, there's massive opportunity coming. So I sold off a third of my entire portfolio because we got California buyers coming over here paying more than what they appraised for.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
are you making fun of us Californians?
no, not at all, man. You just you need some new people in your politicians, but you know. Yeah. But my point is this is like, I see all of this as a huge wave of opportunity coming, and I just want to be positioned for it. And so, so we did liquidate a third of our portfolio to free up a good chunk of money, you know what I mean? To be ready that if the thing does happen, like we think it might happen, because you got all the forbearances that are about to hit, and people are going to be like, what do you mean I owe 4 months of payments right now? Right. Yeah. And then we're already seeing foreclosures on the rise. They're going to go up even more. So I just want to be positioned to just swoop in, because you and I both know that if it does turn, which I'm not saying that it will, I just want to be clear on that. But if it does turn, the lending institution is going to get real hard to borrow money from. So cash is king. Mm-hmm. Cash will absolutely be king during that time. And so that is just something I've done. Now, what I'm teaching my students right now, especially the ones that aren't able to just stack up, several, 7 figures, but I'm telling them, look, you got to get to cash right now. So you need to, if the market is turning, you need to be wholesaling, flipping as fast as you can. No long-term flips. Don't get in a 6-8 month project. Agreed. Get into something that, you can get in and out of in a couple of months or even less. And just wholesale everything else. Just stack your cash so that you can be prepared if we move into a slide. And that way, you're going to be like, okay, well, I don't have as much as I wish I would have had, but you got some now that you can get in at the bottom and build some massive wealth off of it. So,
yeah. And to be clear, like, we're not saying there's going to be a bottom here at all. We're not even saying it's going to fall, but but be prepared in case it does. Like,
I live by PPE.
Yeah.
PPE, prepare, plan, and execute. Mm-hmm. I'm always preparing for the next market cycle. I'm creating a plan to how to execute that so that I can execute it if it comes. I'm always doing that. Always. 100%. Like, I'm living, like, we're like, ooh, look how great it is. Look how great it is. Well, I'm over here saying, okay, well, what do we need to do if it turns? Like, I'm building that plan. So if it does turn, I'm not going, oh no, what do we do? No, I'm ready, man. So
100%. Perfect. All right. Well, I think we're good. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you sharing your insight with me and my audience. It's greatly appreciated. And awesome. So tell everybody how to get a hold of you if they want to find you.
Man, it's super easy. Just go to ZackChildress.com. ZACK Childress, CHILDRESS.com. You can find all my social plugs and plays where I'm at on Instagram and all that cool stuff over there. And we got a bunch of cool free stuff if they want to go learn some stuff over there too. So ZackChildress.com. Oh,
perfect.
My link. I was like, my link went away, man.
I made sure I brought that back before we went. So that was a cool little trick. But yeah, we'll talk about that another time. So if you get value from these episodes, this is the first Friday on the fly. I'll be doing these when I have time on Fridays. We'll call them Fridays on the fly. They'll obviously go into the feeds for iTunes and Stitcher and everything else we do. So check that out. If you listen to the podcast, make sure that you're rating, reviewing, sharing, helping me grow my audience is greatly appreciated. Trying to grow my Instagram right now. I go to @TheRealDonCosta and follow me. I'm going to be putting out a lot of content more and more there as we go. And of course, if you want to be part of a great community with people, we're trying to build the right group, not the biggest group. We're trying to be engaged and plugged into what you're doing. That's important to me. And I am somebody that's doing the business. So as a member of the Inner Circle Elite community, I don't have to ask you what you need. I know what you need because I'm living it, breathing it, and struggling with it every day too. So go to beinthisroom.com if you want to be part of that community. Check it out. There's no hard sell. We'll just have a discussion. If you're a fit, if we're a fit for you, if you're a fit for us, and if it is, that's great. If it's not, that's great. I'll point you in the right direction. And so with that said, Zach, thank you very much for being with me. I greatly appreciate it.
Hey, and I just want to second what you said there about being in the room. I mean, masterminds, like it's hard to explain if you've never been in them, and especially when you're like what you just said about being in a smaller one versus a large one. It's night and day when you have the right people. So I think it's the bestest choice any of your listeners could do is check out how to be in that room with you. So
I appreciate that. Definitely. So, and Yeah, and definitely follow Zach and everything he's doing. Like I said, I got mad respect for this gentleman here. Gotten to know him over the last few months, and as genuine as he comes across on screen in person, and definitely a wealth of knowledge. So appreciate you, buddy.